Hello friends, it's me Vardhan here again. Today I would be reviewing my favorite ink. It's the Camlin Permanent Black, also called the Camel Permanent Black. This is the newer version of this ink after Coco you bought 50% stakes at Camlin. I have been told that the formula of both of these black ink and the blue ink were changed a little bit, so now the blue is more vibrant and less saturated. So is with black, it is less saturated. um, in my opinion, this ink, I feel it is not based off a black dye. It feels like it's based off a brown dye, because when I wash off the when I dilute this ink, or when I wash off my writing, it comes brown. The reminiscent of the dye is brown, not black or blue like the Watermelon Intense Black. It is brown. So I have no problems with brown ink. Actually, while writing too, it has a bit of brownish tinge to it, which I enjoy. It gives me sort of like it feels like I'm writing with vintage, or this writing was written quite a long time ago with iron gall ink, which then rusted, or like they say faded. So I enjoy the color. This ink, I've been using the same bottle since April 2013, and I have finished just 30 mls. It's not that I don't use this ink a lot. I use this ink, at least one of my pen is inked with this ink. The reason this ink hasn't lot used a lot is because in our school most of the work is done in blue, so we don't get a chance to use up our black ink. One of my friends, his big brother, he got through one of these bottles, and it took him 6 years. He was in 6th when he passed out in 12. He still had about like 5 mls left in there. I don't think same would have happened with me, because I write a lot, and since this is my favorite ink, I've started to use this ink for other purposes as well. Earlier I used to write letters with blue ink. Most of my work was done in blue ink. But now I try to use this ink as much as possible, because this ink was manufactured in 2012. This is already 2015. I don't think that after, like, let's say 5 years, this ink would still be good. If it would, it would surprise me, but I don't think so. So as you can see, this bottle has got a very wide base and narrower end. So this is a very sturdy design. It won't topple off easily. It's not like that sort of like the quink bottle which we get in India, with a narrow base like this sort of base, and then goes off like that. This is very broad. This is very thin. That ink can topple if it is horizontal to you. It can topple very easily, but not so easily if it is vertical to you. This bottle, no, it doesn't topple easily, and it's quite heavy, although half of it is used. I may show you how much it is used. For that, I think I can use my desk lamp, but I'm not sure. Let's see. I may be able to show you how much ink. Yes, you can see there, half of the more than half actually is left. This ink, some people say it stains their pens. I haven't experienced so till now. Actually, one of my Parker vector converters, it did stain the converter, but I did not clean my pen for 1.5 years. I kept on using this ink without cleaning my pen, so that may be the reason. Otherwise, I use this ink in almost I have used this ink in almost every pen which I own, except that my Reynolds pen and my Hero, if I'm not wrong. Otherwise, each and every pen. Actually, the black, this ink was usually loaded in my green Reynolds Grippy. Taking a sip of lemonade, guys. It's summer, need to beat the heat. Anyways, so like I said, one of my pens was always loaded with this, and I used my grippy continuously for 1 year, till the time I lost it. It did not stain that, what do you call it, the ink reservoir which it had. It did not stain that. I used that without cleaning my pen, so that may be just the reason, because I'd been using that for 2 years or 1.5 years without cleaning. So that may be the reason it got stained a little bit, but not a lot. I think I can remove it with some ammonia solution and water, or maybe I can use bleach, as I've heard that works quite well in stained converters. Anyways, these Parker converters are not the most expensive converters in the world. I can get like one converter for 20 rupees, and it lasts me till the age of the pen, until and unless the converter got broken or it fell and the ball got lost or something like that. So not a huge deal if it stains my converter, but if the pen has a sack like the Hero pens, most of them, then I would be a little bit worried about staining, as the Camlin Blue would stain the sack of my Hero 332. The review is already online on my blog, crazyaboutpens.blogspot.in. I will try to put the links below. Anyways, so it can stain it, but it is not necessary that it will stain. It may not. It depends upon maybe the nature of the plastic. For example, I've been using this dropper with this ink and it hasn't stained it. And I've been using that dropper since class 5. Now I'm in class 8, so you can get a bit of idea. I think that depends upon the pen. So now I will be showing you some things here. You can see it says ink review, Camlin permanent black. As I've written it, this is my favorite ink. It flows very well. It is on the watery side a little bit, but in fine pens you will get clear cut feedback, but in wetter pens or in medium nibs you may not. It just depends upon the nature of the pen. Anyways, this is a nice wet ink, but its dry time is fast. It's not the wettest of all. There are much wetter inks out there like the Tanzanite. It has a bit of shading. Actually, while doing the swab test, when I did this end part, it was like it had a bit of shading. Otherwise, not a lot of shading too is there, just a little bit. But if you're using fountain pens, then you should expect the ink to be a little bit watery. It shouldn't be the blackest of black if you're using black inks, because if you use that, then you can just use a laser jet printer and fountain pens now. Otherwise, there are inks like the Noodlers, Bulletproof, or more expensive inks like the Sheffer Script Black, which are much blacker than this, but this ink is fine for me. Anyways, like I wrote here, it does not stain a lot, it stains very little. The ink is not water resistant. I will be showing you this part, but it does leave a faint mark, as we can see here. The dry time, I have written 5 seconds. There was a bit of smudging. 6 seconds too, 7 seconds as well, but at 8 seconds it was totally dry. Here's the swab test. This is the 1 pass. You can see it's not very black. 2 passes, much more saturation. 3 passes and 4 passes. I cannot tell the difference between 3 passes and 4 passes if I were you, but while doing this I saw, so I know this is 3 passes, this is 4 passes, but otherwise no, I won't be able to tell the difference. And like, this is the writing sample which was exposed to running for more than 10 seconds actually, but you can see that it leaves a legible mark enough that you can again write on the pencil or something. Let's turn the page over. I would rate the water resistance to be low, drying time to be fast enough that like if I'm writing a journal and I'm using a fine nib pen which is okay in the flow and everything, it would dry quite fast. Saturation is okay if you want a fountain pen ink, but if you want the blackest of black, like an inkjet ink, this is not the ink for you. When I use it, obviously, yes, I've been using it for the past 2-3 years. The pen I used was my Ratnam Sun number 15. I have already done the review of it. So that's that. I do recommend you to visit my blog. I will try to put the links below. Otherwise, if I don't, the URL is again crazyaboutpens.blogspot.in. Not a lot of reviews are there, not of this ink, but I may do the review. The Camlin blue ink review is already there online on my blog. Do check that out. It may be useful for you, it may not. So that's all there is to it. Thank you. Bye bye.